Triple E EDC back again with the knife sale. So these two knives are not for sale. These are actually the Patreon giveaway knives. This is the giveaway knife for April, and this is the giveaway knife for May. This one's actually closed already, so if you're looking at this one, that is closed. The drawing for this will be probably in the next day or so. This one is the knife for May. This is the Benchmade Shootout. This is the brand new OTF from Benchmade. CF Elite Scales, super light OTF, ultra light OTF. This is basically your bug out version of an OTF. So very cool knife. If you're not already a patron on Patreon, go ahead and check that link below. Not only will you get an entry to be entered in a drawing for this knife, but you'll also receive discounts on the knife sale that I'm going to be showing you in just a minute. Now, one of the great things about the knife sale that I'm going to be doing is that the discounts elevate with each tier for Patreon members, and you can join the Patreon for the benefits while the knife sale is going on. However, this does go out to the knife sale itself goes out to the patrons before everyone else. So if you're seeing this video and you're not already a Patreon member, it's already gone up to the patrons. Okay, a couple of things. I'm going to do a giveaway for the last knife sales giveaway. So we're going to do a drawing. So we have a giveaway knife for this knife sale, and then we have a drawing for the Kaiser Critical, which was given away last knife sale. So this is the Kaiser Critical, and there were only, I think, a couple of knives last time that were sold. We're going to go ahead and do a quick drawing on this, and then we'll get to the knife sale. So let's go ahead and so these are the knives that were sold in the last knife sale. There were 12 of them, so there are 12 entries. Essentially, what I'm going to do is you see numbers 1 through 12. Those are going to be the corresponding numbers for those of you who entered, and I'm going to do the random sequence generator in order to do the drawing. And the first one drawn in the sequence, or the first number up in the sequence, is going to be the winner. This doesn't count, but I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick. From 1 to 100, number 94 would win that one, for example. Since there were 12 of them, what we're going to do, well, first of all, we're going to reload the page. Since there were 12 of them, I'm going to put in 12 here, and then the one that comes up first is going to be the winner. So let's go ahead and do that drawing. This is number 6. So the number 6 knife was the Buck Onset. So if you purchased the Buck Onset, I don't remember exactly who purchased it. I'll go ahead and look it up, and I'll email the winner. But if you're watching this and you are the winner, you can email me also at triple.e.edc@gmail.com. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and reset the camera up, and then we'll go ahead and here we go. Reset the camera up, and we will move on to the knife sale. So first of all, everyone who buys a knife is going to be entered into a giveaway to get this knife. This is the Cold Steel 4MAX Scout. This has been carried and used, but it is in excellent condition. It does have a little wear on the pocket clip and a little bit on the G10 scales over here. I'm sorry, not G10. I believe these are injection molded scales, and a little bit of wear here. But actually, I'm sorry, that's the same wear. But other than that, the blade itself isn't showing much wear. This is a titanium nitride, I think, coated blade, and it does smudge and get fingerprints, but as far as use on it, I think the coating is holding up pretty well. So, and the edge on this is still pretty good. So that's the Cold Steel 4MAX Scout. All right, let's go ahead and get into the actual knife sale itself. Actually, I'm going to put this up while I tell you guys the rules of the knife sale. So real quick, I do sell to international buyers. However, if you are international, once it leaves the U.S., it's under, you're sort of assuming all the risk. So I'm not going to be responsible for anything lost overseas or held up at customs or lost to customs. You're assuming the risk with that. But I will sell to you guys and ship outside the United States. I do ship USPS priority mail unless otherwise specified. But for international, I do charge an upcharge in shipping And we'll discuss what shipping you want internationally. The only thing is it's hard for me to get to DHL. But I can get there if I need to. Otherwise, UPS is pretty easy for me, and USPS is still an option. All right, so just in general, all the prices include shipping, and anything over $250 gets insured. Those are my general rules, but anything under $250, you know, usually I'm going to make sure that it gets to you. It just comes with $50 of insurance anyway, and so I'm not really worried about it. All right, so as far as the knives themselves, let me go ahead and bring up my list here. Oh, I should explain how to claim a knife. So if you want to claim a knife, you should email me at triple.e.edc@gmail.com. Do not post a comment at the bottom of this video because I may not see it. So again, triple.e.edc@gmail.com, and that is going to be the best way for me to make sure that I'm seeing your emails. The way it works is I'm going to list a price. It's going to be sort of the full price. If you make a full price offer, the knife is yours. If you give me anything below full price, I'm open to all the prices are essentially your best offer. But if you give me an offer that is not full price, I do reserve the right to counter or decline. I also will, if somebody else hops in with a full price offer, they automatically get the knife. So that's essentially how I work that. In general, you know, just be 18 or have the permission of a parent when buying knives. And, you know, if you live in a state with any specific laws, just be aware of what your state's laws are or country. All right, let's go ahead and do the first knife. I'm 7 minutes in and we're not to a knife yet. So I think I'm going to post in the title to skip to this point if you want to start. All right. So first knife is the Benchmade Crooked River. Now this is not just any Crooked River. This is a limited edition Crooked River. This is the Ultimate Experience from 2018 limited edition. This is number 295 out of 500. The blade is DLC, is in excellent shape. Really, really excellent shape here. The bolsters also similarly are in really good shape. Note a slight nick right there. In the coating. The coating on the clip is worn a little bit, but you can replace. Benchmade, you know, has a lot of these clips you can easily replace with for, you know, $5–10. But that's normal wear for these painted Benchmade clips. I'm not sure if that's the same coating that is on the bolsters here, but the coating on the blade is full DLC, so that's going to hold up awesome. I don't know if, you know, if you buy this, it is sort of a collector's piece, so either you're going to carry it and use it and just say to hell with, you know, the collector's status, but or you're going to put, you know, sort of keep it in a collectible or collector sort of condition as much as possible. However, just note that the box on this is not the original box. You know, the person who sold it to me just did not have the box. So the box on this, I believe, was a custom Crooked River box that he just had lying around. So that is, this is by the way, this is a mini Crooked River, not a full size. So since this is, you know, limited edition, and since this is a, you know, in pretty good shape, and the minis I think are going for around $240-ish. I'm going to list this at $295 because I don't, you know, this is just isn't available anymore, and sort of is a collector's piece. I saw some pricing online. People were selling these for about $350-ish. So I think $300 or $295, I should say, is a pretty good price. I saw someone post one for $300, and everyone was like, "Great price." So I figured $295 is a good price. And all right, so that's that. The next one up here is the Tucson TS313. So this is an M390 blade. This is a button lock, as you can see here. Just great button lock action. It's sort of a, you know, sort of a fidget. It has a lot of fidget factor, I should say. This has a grind that reminds me a lot of the like Rayat's grinds on the Chavez's, but then it has this aggressive clip point, which is definitely not, you know, Chavez-esque, and also has this button lock, which is kind of cool. This is not made by Rayat. This is made by Tucson, and like I said, it's M390, but it is kind of a funky design, and you know, kind of a cool knife here. I think these originally were like 200 something or 189 or something like that. I think you can get them still for 175-ish. So I'm going to list this one at 135, and you know, that's what I'm going to list it at. Next up is the Oakworks Osprey. This is the sort of what was one of the hotter knives earlier this year, and it may end up on my. I think there's a spot there. Nope, that's good. Just want to make sure. No, that looks good. Okay, so that was just a piece of dirt or something. So this is the Oakworks Osprey, and this is the carbon fiber variant. I believe there was a couple G10 or micarta variants or something, but this has titanium on the bolsters over here, textured titanium. It has a really nice, you know, recess for thumb access there, and it's on bearings. It has a really, really nice detent. You can Spidey flick this out with the fuller right there. Thumb rolling is not so easy. I would not say that this is a thumb roll, but you know, fairly easy to flick it out there. And it has a really nice choil here, so you can do a choke up. Blade shape is really nice. The swedge here is very attractive and lightens the blade without, you know, and gives it a nice aesthetic as well. I really like this knife. This is actually, you know, it's a little small for me, which is why I'm selling it. Honestly, if it was a little bit larger, I'd probably keep it. But if you like, you know, sort of this size, then it's a great knife for you. If you're curious sort of what size this is, let me see if I have something that, you know, here's a bug out, right? Bug out's not for sale, but to just give you a size on that. That's about how much it is. And, you know, honestly, if it was a little bit taller and the handle like a bug out, I'd probably, you know, maybe I'd hold on to it. Or maybe I'd just prefer that it be a little larger. But again, it really is a really great knife. I'm going to list this one at 300. I think these were like 350 originally, something like that. But they are, I believe they're not available anymore, I think. Although I didn't really check, but I think that's what they're at. I saw a few for sale. And the ones I saw for sale were around 325 to 350, so 300 is what I'm listing that at. Next up, we have the Kershaw Federalist. These are like $105 new, so I'm going to list this one at 80 bucks. Not a ton to say about this. It is a micarta handle here. Just a really simple design, but a great design. There is a half stop on this. You know, and it is a slip joint, non-locking, but it is, you know, that it is, there's no spring, you know, necessarily on it, like you would see on a lot of slip joints. So just be aware that that's the case. But it does have, because of that, it sort of has this nice thing where it sort of just pulls open all at once, and you can close it fairly easily. You know, as you can see there, you can sort of one-hand it a little bit, which is, you know, kind of nice in my opinion. Yeah, so just with a little friction from your finger on the side of the blade. So so that's that. I'm gonna list again 80 bucks, but open to offers. All right, next up we have a knife that is a very hot commodity. This is, and honestly, I would not even be selling it if it wasn't for the ridiculous secondary market prices. So it is a knife that I'm going to be selling at secondary market pricing, mainly because I wouldn't sell it if it wasn't for the secondary pricing. But this is the CKF Evo 2.0. This has been you know, carried. There's probably some wear marks on it, as you can see, but nothing too bad. I think it's in pretty good shape. And I mean, most of the knives here have been carried to some extent because I have to review them, but this one, you know, sort of was a knife I own. You know, it's a personal knife I own. That's just a little bit of oil on the pivot there. But yeah, so this is, the action on this is ridiculous. Like, here, detent is crisp. Action is just, let me see if I can, once you get it past that, yeah, it just really just falls shut. The ergonomics on this are awesome. I really don't want to sell this, but the secondary market pricing is what it is. So if you guys want this, look, if you guys don't buy it at the price that I'm going to put this at, it's not, you know, no skin off my back. But if you want to buy it, you know, the secondary pricing right now is around $12.50. And I'm not going to charge $12.50. I'm going to list this for I'll list this for $1,200. Now, I do have Patreon. So if you join Patreon, or if you're already a member, at the different tiers, you can get 5, 10, or 15% off this knife. So that means that you can get $120 at 10% off the knife, which puts it at, you know, $10.80, which is well below market value right now. So just be aware that that's that's an option. You know, this would be one of those ones where joining the top tier even for a month would be, you know, a good way to get a discount. I would prefer you stay multiple months, but you can always join for 1 month. There's no commitment on Patreon. All right. Next up, we have the DLT exclusive Manticore X. Now, this wasn't the last knife sale. There is somebody who wants to buy it, and since it wasn't the last knife sale, if he comes through on the sale, he's going to get first dibs. But if he doesn't come through on the sale, then it will be, and by the way, it comes with this lanyard. I just took the lanyard off, but it comes with this lanyard with Sub-Zero. This is the Sub-Zero version, Mortal Kombat themed. And you can see the Mortal Kombat there. Elmax steel, blue carbon fiber, blue marble carbon fiber on here. Just a really cool knife, recurve. And the recurve's slight, which is great. When you have a recurve, I really prefer the slight recurve. There's also a carbon fiber button on here, marble carbon fiber, blue actuator button. Just a really, really cool knife. This is like an $850 knife, and I'm listing it for $600. I'm sorry, not 600. What do I have it at? 640. Sorry, 640. Dropping it down to 640. Yeah, just a great knife. All right. Next up, I have a couple of Enthusiant knives. So I have both the Runt and the Malibu. Now, these are, there's a Facebook group, Protech Facebook group, and these are essentially group knives. They were made in limited quantities. This one I think is even like especially limited. I think there were, I know I saw a post where there was like 104 of these made. I don't know if they had like a slightly increased run after the first 104, but you know, originally there were like 104 of them made. I don't see them for sale very often. In fact, there's very few sales of these. If I wasn't a reviewer, you know, I don't know if I would sell these, but I got to keep the money moving in order to keep reviewing knives and doing giveaways. So, in any event, these are mother of pearl buttons. They have the same setup essentially. Mother of pearl buttons. This is bronze. I believe it's bronze aluminum scales, and they are textured bronze aluminum. And then there is DLC blades on these with the reverse Tanto setup on here. So that's the Enthusiant. And when I say Enthusiant, so the group is the Protech Enthusiasts, and you'll see that it says on here Protech Enthusiants, Enthusiants Underground 21, and this one I think says Enthusiants Underground 21 also. So the Enthusiants thing was essentially, it was a mistake on this run. and the group voted, because they thought it was funny, the group voted to keep it, and it's sort of become a thing. So, you know, when you see Enthusiants, that's what it's about. In any event, you see the patina on these scales, it's already there. I believe you can remove the patina with, I don't know if it's Windex or something. You know, I'm not going to go do that, but if you want to do that, that's fine. But some people prefer the patina on these. Because these are bronze aluminum, and the bronze is in there, they will sort of keep that. They'll always get patina on them, you know, once you start using them. But, you know, you can clean them up and shine them and keep them in a safe if you want. They might patina anyway. In any event, these are, I believe, 20 CV, as you can see there. I think both of them are 20 CV, but this one says 20 CV on the blade. Let's see. Oh yeah, it says it on the back of the blade here. There you go, CPM 20 CV. So this is a Malibu, so it's going to be a manual. You know, really good action. Some of these had button lock. Sorry, not button lock. Lock stick. This one doesn't really have. I mean, maybe the slightest of slight lock stick, but some of these had some pretty significant lock stick. That one is not. Does not. So if that's a concern, you don't really need to be worried about that. On this one, this is a runt, and you know, you get that awesome action on the runt. Runts are just really fun because they're small enough that you can close the blade one-handed really easy, and it's an automatic that you can actually fidget with. So they're really kind of fun. They're 3-finger knives here, not a 4-finger knife. I have size large gloved hands, but they're thick enough that you can really hold on to them. They're substantial, and you can really go to town on some material. So anyway, pricing on these. This will be $300 and this will be $450. I tried to price these. I really don't know, what sort of the best option is for pricing on these, mainly because so few people ever put these up for sale. This one especially, this one goes up, I won't say it never goes up for sale, but I think this was a larger run, and so they do go up for sale more often. But this one is hard to get. So I'll sell them separately at $450 and $300, or I'll sell them together as a set for $725. All right. Next up. All right, next up, I've got a couple of Hobacks. Now, you guys know about the controversy with Hoback, and honestly, it's one of the reasons I'm selling them, and I am going to be selling them at a loss. So, I have to sell them at a loss if I'm going to sell them because of the whole controversy. So for those of you who don't know, what happened was, essentially Blade HQ made the mistake of listing Hoback as all USA made because the MK Ultras, I think, were the Kwaibacks were like most. I think they were all USA made, or for the most part were USA made, at least the original versions. And so they went and sort of didn't say anything, or at least according to Jake Hoback, he did say something to them. They didn't make the change, and so he sort of just dropped it. But eventually, because Blade HQ is such a large site, all the other sites started advertising USA made as well, and they didn't really do a good job of correcting that problem. So what's the long and short of it? I don't know for sure, but I believe this entire knife was made in the U.S. This one, I believe, was mostly made in the U.S., if not entirely. But it might have some non-US features. And this knife, I believe, was fully made in China. But they're all Hobacks. They all come with the nice Hoback box. This is the Summit. It is a massive knife. I mean, if you want to get an idea on size in this, this is the 4MAX Scout. And for those of you guys who know how big the 4MAX Scout is, this is basically as big as, if not bigger than the 4MAX Scout. That's about as big as, right? And the blade for sure is bigger. So I think this is like a 4.25 inch blade, something like that. The action on it is actually really good. It is on bearings, and feels good. If you guys like the Sumo, the Hoback Sumo, this is basically like a larger brother to the Sumo. Not exactly the same. It doesn't have the flipper tab. You know, isn't no button lock or anything like that. But from a design standpoint, it's very similar. Both the fuller and the thumb disc, I guess you could call it, are, you know, functional and make for, you know, make for easy opening. The blade itself, actually, because of the size of the blade, ends up getting pretty thin at the edge, and therefore it really is a good slicer, like a surprisingly good slicer for its size. So these were originally like, I think they were $650 originally. I'm gonna list this one for $450, so if you're, you know, if the whole controversy doesn't bother you, this is actually a really good price, and you know, you'll be getting what's listed as a $650 knife for, you know, $450 or even cheaper if you're on the Patreon. Next up is the Kwaiback here. So the Kwaiback is, and this is a specific version of the Kwaiback. This is a samurai version. So you sort of see that samurai shadow in the pivot. Kind of a cool thing that they have there. This is all like, you know, what I guess what the equivalent of like a stonewash or, you know, sort of working finish like you would see from Hinderer. What was I going to say? One of the things on this is, if you look at Hoback's knives, they all say, here, they all say Psalm 23, right? Right there at the bottom. Except for this one. This one was a mistake, essentially, where it went out of the factory without the engraving. So if that bothers you, meaning the Psalm 23 bothers you, you know, which I could take it or leave it, mainly because I happen to be Jewish, for those of you guys who didn't know. And although, you know, Psalm 23 exists within Judaism, I don't necessarily need it on knives. And I also happen to be religious, so that means that, you know, from a religious standpoint, I actually, you know, prefer that stuff. I'm just not very evangelical. So I practice, but not evangelical. In any event, the knife is the MK5 Samurai limited edition version, and this one is actually special because it has a Timascus backspacer here. I do have the original backspacer, and that would come along with it, but this backspacer by itself is $220 if you're to buy it. The backspacer by itself. So the knife is a, I believe is like a $700 knife, $695 or something like that, and the backspacer is $220, and I'm going to sell the entire package for $625. So $625 for the entire package, and so you'll be getting a kind of a really cool knife. By the way, this is a choil, and you can use it and choke up on it, and it feels really good actually. This knife really feels substantial, and really is a great knife. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I have so many knives, and, you know, just sort of, I don't feel great about the whole controversy, I probably wouldn't sell this one. But I am going to sell this one, and that's what it's for. I sort of feel the same way about this one. Actually, this one is one that I was even more loath to sell. I do not want to let go of this one. But again, sort of a little bit annoyed about the whole controversy. This is designed by Snecx. This is the sort of production version of this, the full-size Snecx Buster. We makes the mini Buster, but this is the Snecx Buster. The milling on here is absolutely exquisite. I mean, check out the milling, you know, on the clip, on here, the honeycomb, you know, all over here. Just beautiful, beautiful milling all the way around. There is a scratch right here, as you can see, and, you know, this has been carried quite extensively. It's still in really good shape, but it's been carried pretty extensively. I would say it's a user, but it's a user that is cosmetically sort of a 9 out of 10 other than that one, you know, pretty visible snail trail. So that's that. This is also going to be listed at $625. This is originally like a $750 knife or $770, something like that. I've seen these go for, I think at their high point, they were going for like $950 or something like that. But, you know, again, the controversy has sort of wreaked havoc on the market, and it's unclear exactly. I really haven't seen one of these for sale since all that stuff happened. I don't think many people are putting these up for sale. These are really, really few and far between on when they come up for sale. And they are pretty sought after. So, you know, again, $625 on this one. Next up is the Emerson A100. So this is chisel ground, like, you know, all, you know, actual Emersons. So it only has a bevel on this side and no bevel on this side. Oh. Let me see if you can see that. There you go. So the light's not cooperating with me. But this original, I do have the G10 scales for this. These are custom micarta scales from the Shutter Dug, and this is a Lynch clip. So a DLC Lynch clip, and you know, it's got a little bit of lock stick like all Emersons do, but frankly, the lock stick on this one's actually not bad. Sorry. So you can hear the lock stick, but the lock stick doesn't happen all the time. You can see it, but it's still pretty easy to disengage, which you don't always get with a lot of the Emersons. So, you know, these are broken in, and this has been carried, but very, very cool. Here you can see the fit and finish on the scales here. So the fit is, I don't want to say it's exact because, you know, you can sort of see it's off a little bit, but you don't really notice it when you're holding it. But again, I do have the original scales for it. So that's that. These are very hard to get. I shouldn't say very hard to get, but they don't come up so often. The A100, the Mini A100, the Super A100. Emerson does runs, you know, some smaller runs, and he only posts them to his website. That's sort of the new way to get Emersons. No, he doesn't really use dealers anymore. So, you know, if you're interested in Emerson A100, this is the time really to get one. I'm gonna list this one at $200. Comes again with 2 sets of scales, so the originals and this one. And frankly, I really like these scales. I really do. Other than the fact that the fit is not exact. All right, next up is the okay. So this is another one that's sought after. This is the Microtech Kombat Troodon Sandtrooper. So this is a fully serrated blade, meaning that it's fully serrated on this one. They call them double fully serrated when they're serrated on both sides. It is sharpened on both sides, so it's a dagger. So be aware of your laws. It's also an out the front, so be aware of your laws. And it's got a fairly large blade for an out the front, so again, be aware of your laws. But the Cerakote job on this is masterful. Just beautiful Cerakote job. I'm just going to show the close-up on this because it's really, really nice. And there you can see the Sandtrooper, the symbol, the born on date, serial number, and here's the switch, the blade. You can see a little bit of wear at the tip on the blade. But other than that, this is in really good shape. So these I see go, and this is the thing. This is another one of those knives that sort of has an inflated secondary, and I wouldn't be selling if it wasn't for the fact that that the secondary is what it is. So I saw 2 sales on these. meaning that there's not a lot available to begin with, but I saw two of them that were sold. So one of them was sold at $1,000 and the other one was sold at, I think it was $900, I think it was $915 or $925. Can't remember exactly what it was. But this one's going to be listed at $875, and again, it's still subject to the Patreon discounts. So if you're interested, again, you can get this fairly below what the market is on this. All right, next up we have the Brown Knives Servo. Well, this is going to be a long video, by the way. Let me go ahead and pull that back in because that didn't do it justice. There you go, the Brown Knives Servo. This is a Damasteel blade, obviously, titanium with Timascus accents. Kind of really interesting milling. Reminds me of, like, you know, the Toy Story sort of cowboy stitching, I guess. Not really Toy Story, but you know, that sort of cowboy stitching that you get on like vests and certain things. I'm thinking of Woody from Toy Story, but you got, you know, a nice Timascus clip on here, Timascus over travel stop, and it has the old style pivot. And it comes with all the box and docks and everything. And one of the crazy things about the Servo is, look at this action. It's basically, well, it's not basically, it is a guillotine. Okay, it is a guillotine. This feels a lot like the action on a Norseman. It's not quite the same, but it is very close. And I mean very close. There are some companies that just have that absolute, you know, drop shut action, and Brown Knives is one of them. So, whoop, just hit the camera stand, but yeah, beautiful Damascus blade here. Again, this has been carried so that the scales are actually darkened a little bit from what they originally were from carry, but just if you wanted something that's a conversation piece, you know, you can see a little bit of snails there, but it sort of blends in a little bit. If you want a conversation piece, this is a really good one. And the ergos on this are really, really good. You know, he did a great job on this knife. So, again, just really, really nice action on that. This I believe was like a, I mean, I don't know what the original price, I think it was originally like a $1,400 or $1,500 knife. And I'm going to be listing this one for $900. So I know it's an expensive one, and I've got a couple of expensive knives on here, but you know, that is, it's a really cool piece. All right, next up, we're going to do some fixed blades. So here's a brand you don't see too often. Mark, a friend of the channel, gave me a good deal on this. I do have to just get rid of some knives because I've just got too many. But this one, you know, I carried a little bit just because Mark encouraged me to carry it while I was borrowing it from him, and then I ended up buying it from him. I'm going to pass on his good price that he gave me to you guys. But you can see the sheath here, so it has been carried. And this is the knife. You can see it has carbon fiber and G10. Just a really cool design. Northwoods no longer available as a company, and I believe that a lot of the Northwoods stuff is pretty sought after. I'm not as familiar with it, but I believe it's pretty sought after. So I'm going to list this for $150, which is what he sold it to me for. So $150 on this. All right, next up we are going to get the Bark River Aurora. Again, carried but not extensively. You know, you can see the sheath is still in really good condition. carried maybe 2-3 times, and then taken out for some backyard use and some things like that. But this is antique bone linen micarta with mosaic pins. And you can see the overall knife there. It has that sort of Coke bottle handle, known for like having really good ergos. The lanyard, if you want to put a lanyard in the back, it will stick out from your hands, even with size large gloved hands. So this is a really good handle size, and you'll notice the center line here. This is why people like it. You know, you can do your bow drills and everything with this. Drill out holes. It's just, and it's also got that nice sort of Scandivex grind over here. And it's just a really, really great bushcrafting woodworking knife. Sort of known to be as one of the best, especially if you watch DBK. But not that they're the end-all be-all of bushcrafting, or bushcraft knives, I should say. But they do have, they do sort of demonstrate why this is a good knife, and I believe it's one of the better bushcrafting knives out there. But again, I'm not a bushcrafting expert. All right, so that one's going to be price-wise $275. I think the original price on that was like it was well over $300, I think. I think it was something like $340, $350, something like that. Okay, so next up I'm going to have the Spyderco Mule team. And our friend of the channel, Dan Gavrilowski, has made a couple of mule teams for me. I have a couple of his knives. I definitely always want to keep at least one of his knives around. I really love the handles he makes. But I can't keep all of my knives. I have too many, so I'm going to be selling these two. This is the Starry Night one, and this is, I didn't really come up with a name for this, but just kind of a really cool knife here. This is the S45VN one, and this Starry Night one is MagnaCut. So we have MagnaCut and an S45VN. Both of these are going to be $200 a piece. Again, they have custom handles on these. Really, really nice work by Dane. It's resin and wood. This is just dirt. This is the S45VN piece, and this is MagnaCut, as you can see. Camera's not really picking it up, but you can sort of see it. There you go. I don't know why they didn't end up making this one black like this one, but cool either way. And there's a golden Colorado, but Starry Night, really, really cool. You can see the fit and finish on these. These are going to be $200 a piece, like I said. One thing to note on these is the sheath on this one is sort of like more, it's like a harder leather, and this one is a softer leather. The other thing to note is that although he does a really good job with sheaths, the vast majority of the time, I think the sheath on the on this one, on the MagnaCut, was actually cut a little large, as you can see, and as a result, it doesn't affect any of the functionality, but combined with the fact that it's softer leather, it has sort of a little extra material. It really doesn't affect functionality at all, but it's just something to note. Also, the stitching here leaves less room to pull out than on this one, so getting this in and out takes a little bit more effort than this, but it has better retention as a result. So two things to note on here. Again, $200 a piece on these. All right, last two knives I have, and I'm just going to put this back on to give you something to look at. But the last two knives on here are actually knives I don't have on the table. They were in a prior knife sale. You can go check the video out on them, or you can email me at triple.e.edc@gmail.com. I'll get you a video. I just don't have them with me right now, but I did want to list them. So one is the Nightwatch, one is the Nightwatch Knives Ajax. To give you an idea on what that knife is, Nightwatch Knives, by the way, is a great. They really make great knives, but they sort of have that, you know, that Vulcan, you know, like the Medford has the Vulcan finish, right? So it has that type, or apocalyptic finish for TRC knives, right? So that type of finish is what is on the Ajax. The Ajax has like a large fuller running down the middle of the knife. Kind of a cool design. Again, you know, you can either Google it or look it up on one of my prior knife sale videos. Just, you know, in YouTube, enter Nightwatch Ajax and Triple EDC. I'm sure it'll come up as like the first result, because there's not a whole lot of videos out there on it. And I'm going to be asking, that's a 400, I think it was a $400 or $425 knife. I'm going to be asking $300 on that one. And then also selling the Phobos Legion that was made by Bark River. So it's a Bark River Phobos Legion. This is before they started making their own knives. That's the one in CPM 154. Chris Tanner absolutely loved that knife when he tested it. Those have been out of production quite a while and are pretty sought after by people who collect Phobos knives. So I think I'm going to list that one at $300. But again, feel free to make me offers on that. That one does have a very, 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 very slight chip on the tip. Because it's a Bark River, it's not really a big deal because you can always send it to them. They'll completely redo the tip, but it's very, very slight. Like I'm talking, you know, like if we're looking on this, it's literally just like the very, very tip of it. That's and you don't even notice it unless you're running your finger over it. So. But it's just something to be aware of on it. I always want to be upfront. Also, the sheath, the Phobos Legion has been extensively used, so the sheath is quite broken in and you know, and used basically. So again, that one's $300. And you know, don't forget that every time you buy a knife, you're going to be entered into the Cold Steel Formax Scout. Thank you guys for watching. I know this has been a really long video. You know, in general, you can always fast forward through my sale videos if you don't like it, and you can always check in the description. Everything is in order of appearance. So thanks so much.